Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, this subpoena puts the Attorney General in legal catch-22. To comply with the subpoena, he must break the law. If he obeys the law, he must disobey the subpoena. Every person on this committee knows that the law forbids release of grand jury testimony. Congress is the law-making branch of government. If this committee feels it's so important to see the grand jury testimony, it can change the law. But it cannot order the highest-ranking law enforcement official in our country to break that law. You know, the American people can plainly see what's going on here. For 2.5 years, they have been force-fed a brazen and monstrous lie that the President of the United States is a traitor who's loyal to a foreign and hostile power. Robert Mueller was given extraordinary powers to investigate this. He appointed one of the most partisan and biased teams of investigators that has ever been appointed to substantiate these charges. They spent 22 months and $25 million in direct and component costs doing so. They employed some of the most abusive tactics, among them perjury traps and threatening family members, in order to turn up some shred of evidence to confirm this narrative. The Trump administration gave them every document they requested and even waived attorney-client privilege to make the president's personal attorney available for 30 hours of testimony. Though the president had the clear constitutional authority to terminate or interfere with the investigation, he did not. Well, after all that, they were forced to admit that there's not a shred of evidence to support this lie. We're now learning it was predicated on a fake dossier fabricated by the Clinton campaign and was used by the highest-ranking officials of the Department of Justice, the FBI, our intelligence agencies, and perhaps even the White House. First, to try to influence the outcome of our election, and after failing that, to undermine the duly elected President of the United States and tear this country apart. Now that lie is laid bare for all to see. The left's had now to think up a new lie, and think it up quick. Thus, in a heartbeat, the lie changed from collusion to obstruction. That even though the administration did nothing to interfere or impede the investigation, the President is guilty of obstruction just because he complained about the injustice of it all behind closed doors in words that amounted to no action whatsoever. They know this lie won't hold up under scrutiny either. So what to do? Well, the answer to that question is before us right now. Even though there was no legal requirement for the Mueller report to be released publicly, the Attorney General has released it with the sole exception of material he is legally forbidden to release, amounting to 92% of the document. He's offered the chairman and the ranking member of this committee the opportunity to review the additional redactions that can be reviewed in a classified setting, leaving only about 6 lines out of 182 pages. But instead of reviewing that information or changing the law to allow for its public release, they order the Attorney General to do what he legally cannot do and then charge there's a cover-up. They imply the smoking gun is now in that 6 lines and over 182 pages that cannot be legally shared, safe in the knowledge they'll never be called out on it. And they hope that there will be enough of a smokescreen to cover the perversion of our justice and intelligence agencies for political purposes under the Obama administration. One other point. Last week, the Democrats voted to change the rules of the committee to allow members to hide behind committee counsel to challenge the Attorney General. Mr. Chairman, we don't hire people to speak for us on the House floor, and we shouldn't hire people to speak for us in committee. Only members of the House should speak in House proceedings, and there's a reason for that. We're responsible and accountable for what we say in public forums. In this public forum, hired help is not. The only rightful exception is when we sit as a tribunal, an impeachment, because then we're sitting as a jury to hear evidence. Any exceptions from this makes a mockery of representative democracy based on the direct accountability that representatives of the people must have to those who elected them. I yield back.
Gentleman.